Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Fast Chat. I'm Rochelle Thomas, Energy Manager with the San Joaquin Valley Clean Energy Organization. I hope everyone is continuing to stay safe and stay healthy and also doing what they can to protect themselves as well as those around them. I'm very excited to be with you this morning with another installment of the Fund It Fast Chat. Please remember that we bring you the Fast Chat every second Tuesday of the month. And we hope this information will help you find ways to get your projects funded and even inspire ideas for new projects. So I will get going momentarily, but first, we've got some housekeeping. Please make note that all of your microphones have been muted upon joining the call. This is simply to minimize background noise. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to submit them using the chat box. I encourage you to do so at any point during the presentation. If something comes to mind, we don't want to miss out on any opportunity to hear any questions or comments that you might have. I always save a bit of time toward the end of the presentation to address those questions and comments. If you do submit a question and for whatever reason we aren't able to address it during the call, for example, we may need to do some additional research, or it's possible we might just run out of time. Please be sure to keep an eye out for our follow-up email. We'll provide responses to any unanswered questions we receive. We'll also provide you with a link to the recording of this presentation, and we'll also provide you with links to any other resources that we discuss during the call. And with that, we are finally ready to jump in. So this morning, we are discussing the DOE benefit. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance for all of the acronyms, but this funding opportunity is from the U.S. Department of Energy, or DOE, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, or EERE, and specifically the Building Technologies Office, or BTO. The particular program responsible for this opportunity is called the Buildings Energy Efficiency, Frontiers, and Innovation Technologies, or BENEFIT for short, and this is for the 2020 year. Now, mind you, this funding opportunity has been offered on an annual basis since 2014. This year's funding allocation is $80 million. So if you aren't quite able to get it together to participate or to apply this year, keep up to date on this opportunity because it will very likely be offered again next year. Also, I want to encourage you to think about this program as an avenue through which to get larger projects that may be in the discussion phase or they may be in the very early planning phases to get those projects fully funded. An example of where I see this opportunity really coming in handy is if you know your agency is planning a big renovation to an existing facility or construction on a brand new one, and if you're open to incorporating newer technology as part of that project. So there's two pretty obvious benefits to that. The first one is your agency will have the benefit of the majority of the costs being covered through this funding through this particular program. And then secondly, your agency will have the added benefit of, I like to call them bragging rights, for being more on the forefront of new technology. And as we all know, elected officials especially love these types of opportunities. So, we're really hoping that will help garner additional support. Okay, now that we've discussed on a very surface level what the program is, I'd like to talk a little bit about why it was developed and what the goals are for the program. So it was set into motion in part by the Energy Policy of 2005. The charge was for the the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA Secretary, to conduct programs of energy efficiency research, development, demonstration, and commercial application. This program proposes to achieve this by the following, through the following activities. So increasing the energy efficiency of buildings, developing cost-effective technologies for new construction and retrofit, and the improvement of energy efficiency and environmental performance of buildings using a whole buildings approach and including on-site renewable energy generation. This program is pretty largely responsible for a lot of the progress the U.S. has made in the field of energy efficiency. Okay, so that was the what, and here is the why. So there are a lot of reasons why there's significant interest in increasing the energy efficiency of our buildings. The literature in the benefit program offers a lot of really interesting and also important statistics. A lot of you might already be familiar with them, but bear with me because I think this is an important refresher. So residential and commercial buildings account for nearly 40% of the nation's total energy demand. That's huge. As a comparison, industry and transportation account for approximately 32% and 29% respectively. So we can see really quickly here that residential and commercial buildings, that also includes commercial and public sector offices, account for a significant amount of energy use. Also, half of the nation's more than 119 million homes and 5.6 million commercial buildings were constructed before 1980. Why is that important? It's important because this construction precedes today's energy efficient practices and standards. So the whole point is we have a ton of work to do in our building infrastructure, and this funding is geared toward finding the best and most scalable ways to address these issues. There are two broad areas under which a project proposal for this program can be submitted. Project Topic 1 and Project Topic 2. Simple enough. I broke them up into two slides, so I will discuss Topic 1 here, and then we'll move along to Topic 2. Within these two broader areas, there are a number of subtopics, and a proposed project must fit within one of these subtopics. So Project Topic 1, more broadly, is building technology research, development, and field validation. So the goal for projects under this umbrella is to develop and validate high-impact, affordable technologies that will improve energy productivity, flexibility, security, and resilience without negatively impacting occupant comfort. There are quite a few subtopics. I won't name them all for you, but there are a couple of items that I think would be of particular interest to our partners, and I've indicated those with the green arrows you see on your screen. Subtopic 1.2, the focus is on thermal storage research and development. This is an extremely valuable area to explore because as we're generating more renewable energy, and we're also anticipating changes in our peak pricing structure, we want to look into ways to reduce that peak demand as much as possible. And thermal storage is actually an extremely effective way to do that. Subtopic 1.3, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, research and development. This is always a really good area to look for energy efficiency opportunities because in the general sense, HVAC accounts for roughly a third of your average building's energy use. So opportunities for savings there are always worthwhile. Subtopic 1.7 is lighting technology. This is probably the most visible energy efficiency measure there is, and I'm not counting renewables because they're not exactly considered energy efficiency. But ideally here, we want to go beyond just looking at the lighting technology itself, because most of us have already installed LEDs wherever it makes sense in our buildings. We also want to think about how we're using that technology. Although LEDs are the most efficient technology that's out there right now, we want to kind of look at ways to make that more efficient. So that has everything to do with how we're using the lighting, incorporating things like controls and daylight harvesting and and just to name a few. And then finally, subtopic 1.9, comprehensive electric load optimization. Since many of us, again, will be subject to time of use rate changes very soon, we want to take advantage of the lower cost by shifting as much as our load to off-peak times as possible. Moving along to project topic 2, which is a little bit smaller, but this is advanced building construction. And so within this project topic, I wanted to call attention to subtopic 2.2, which is building envelope. Building envelope is quite possibly the least sexy topic on the entire list in both areas, but it's very vital because if you think about it, our HVAC systems are only as efficient as our building envelope. And that leads us right into the next item, which is the terms of the award. So as I mentioned earlier, the total amount of award for this year is $80 million. However, there is a cost share requirement. So for each project that's awarded, the maximum amount is $3 million, with the exception of subtopic 2.3, which is workforce development. The maximum there is $750,000. Overall, the agency must share 20% of the cost from a non-federal program source. That means it can be capital you've raised already. It can be from another grant or foundation funding source. It can also be one of the low interest loans that are available out there. It just can't be from another federal program. The exception to this, again, is our subtopic 2.3, which does not require a cost share. And lastly, the duration of the award or project is up to 36 months. Throughout that time frame, there are various project checkpoints to ensure the project is on track. So you work fairly closely with the building's technology office throughout the process. And now that we know a bit more about what the program's about, let's look at some of the requirements. So first, who's eligible to apply? There's a much more comprehensive list of entities that qualify to apply. However, I listed just the ones that make the most sense for our audience. So for our purposes, domestic entities are eligible to apply, and under that particular umbrella, we include for-profit organizations, we include educational institutions. There actually wasn't a specification on grade level, so I'm assuming all educational institutions would qualify to apply, and also nonprofit organizations. Now, the nonprofits can be incorporated or they can be otherwise formed. The application process is a little bit involved if you've never applied for federal funding before in the past. I say this because there are some one-time registration activities that are required that need to be done ahead of time. For example, all applications are taken through the EERE exchange, which you must register for ahead of time. You must also have a DUNS number, which is a unique identifier for businesses. If you don't have one yet, that's just one more step that you have to complete ahead of time. Also, a concept paper must be submitted prior to the full application. So they won't accept any full applications without already having a concept paper submitted. And that being said, that takes us right into the next topic of important dates to keep in mind. Now, the funding opportunity announcement, or the FOA as they call it, was published on September 25th. There was an informational webinar on October 5th, which was completely optional. Attendance would have no bearing on a potential applicant's likelihood of being selected for award. I personally attended the webinar, and I would be happy to clarify any of the items that were discussed or assist you with any part of the process I can. I will also include a link to the slide deck to that webinar, which includes the notes. So you'll see that on the follow-up email that goes out later on later on today. The concept paper is due on November 5th. I'm aware that is coming up very quickly, so I would encourage you to reach out as soon as possible if you are interested in participating, so that we can kind of help you navigate through some of the beginning phases of this process. The full and complete applications are due on January 20th of next year. There will be a reviewer comment period, which closes out on March 29th, 2021. Applicants will be notified of their award status sometime in June 2021. And finally, award negotiations are set up in September 2021. I'm quite sure that at this point, some folks on the call, or even folks that may be listening to this as a recording over the next few days, are wondering how they will gather the resources to submit a proposal to such a highly technical funding opportunity. As with most programs of this nature, you have the ability to partner with other organizations that may not want to, or they may not be able to submit a proposal as the primary applicant. Furthermore, the BTO does what it can to facilitate communication between all potential applicants. So this is so you can go out there and see if there are partners that can bring capabilities to the table that you might be missing. And the way they do this is through the teaming partner list. Potential applicants can sign up to be included on this list. The list is then updated and published on a weekly basis. I will also include a link in the follow-up information we provide after the call. I highly encourage you, if you are even remotely interested in potentially submitting a concept paper, go ahead and sign up to be included on the list, so that will begin the process of networking with different agencies. And that wraps up the presentation that I have for you this morning. I'm going to kind of pause on the information here to give people an opportunity to submit any questions or any comments that you might have into your chat box if you haven't done so already. And while you're working on submitting those questions, I just have a few reminders here for you. Please look out for our follow-up email later on today. I know I mentioned it quite a few times during the presentation already, but that email will include a link to the recording of this fast chat. It also includes links to all of the resources I mentioned during the call. And just as a reminder, please take a quick second and add us to your email contacts list. We want to be sure you're receiving our communications so you can stay up to date on everything that's going on. That email is info@sjbcleanenergy.org. And now I'll go ahead and take a quick peek at the chat box and see if we have any questions here. Give me just a second. And I don't see that we have any questions in our chat box. I encourage everyone listening, please share the fast chat with your friends and with your colleagues. You never know who might benefit from this information, or even how it might inspire ideas for new projects. Our next fast chat is already on the calendar for November 10th at 10 a.m. and we'll be announcing that topic very, very soon. As always, we appreciate you for being with us this morning. We also invite you to connect with the SJV CEO on social media. We are on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're also on Spotify, or we can also connect the old-fashioned way through email or on our website. You can also get valuable information through our many platforms. Of course, there's the Fund It Fast Chat, but we also have our blog, EE, where we feature articles on what's going on around the partnership, workforce development, as well as technology in the energy efficiency space. And finally, our newly launched Pod EE, which features an audio version of many of the articles we publish. We'll have some very exciting updates on that also very, very soon. Above all, our sole purpose is to connect you with the resources that will help you get your projects done. In the meantime, if you would like to listen to any of our past fast chats, You can find them at sjvceo.org. Again, that is sjvceo.org under the resources heading. Thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have an amazing week and stay safe and stay healthy.